All right, so welcome to today's podcast. This is Scott Engler. I'm your host. I'm a published author and thought leader on contemporary job search strategies, transitioning careers, and really optimizing your LinkedIn, creating a profile and online presence to attract the right opportunities to you and the right recruiters to you, and not the other way around, which is chasing opportunities, filling out online job applications, not hearing back, wondering what has changed and why you're not getting the results you want. So today what I want to talk about is I'm going to talk about how to uniquely stand out on your LinkedIn profile and attract ideal jobs and recruiters to you. And I'm going to talk about something very specific that really 99% of job seekers do not do on their LinkedIn. I'm going to cover why most of them don't. And then I'm also going to cover how my clients have showcased themselves and what happened as a result. So basically, I'm going to talk about media files. And when I'm saying media, I'm talking about there are features on LinkedIn where you could showcase your work, what you actually do, whether it's a PDF document, whether it's a video clip, whether it's a blog post or a website or anything that shows what it is that you do and kind of helps to separate you from the crowd and optimally using one of your gifts and talents to really get the message about what you do and how it is you're good at it. So before I get, into what some of my past clients have done and throw out some recommendations of what you could do on your LinkedIn profile, I want to tell you why I think that most people don't do this on their profile. The first reason is they don't really think about it, is the first thing. Actually, when I talk to job seekers about this kind of stuff all the time, they haven't really thought about it. The second thing is when they have thought about it, I particularly work with people that are currently working somewhere. So a lot of, it brings up apprehension of, again, getting caught looking for work, being afraid that, someone's going to find out. Here's the truth. It's just an enhancement of what it is you already do well, and maybe an avenue of really getting that message out and doing something differently from 99% of the other job seekers that don't. So I'm not going to get too into that, because the truth is most people, when it comes down to it, they're just afraid to be seen in that way. And it's just this apprehension I found that I've gone through myself, my own process of transitioning from corporate America to doing what I do now, running my own online business, is like the fear of putting myself out there to the public, the fear of writing an article and fearing rejection and ridicule, the fear of being on video and doing a YouTube video and having that, how scary that was the first time. So that's really, when it comes down to it, what prevents people from actually going through with it, and why 99% of job seekers don't do it. Now, here's the truth, is if you're doing something that you're naturally good at, with the support of somebody that knows how to navigate this, you're going to follow through. It's going to empower you. You're going to realize, this is a way for me to separate myself from other people. And the frustration most job seekers face is enough to where they're willing to take contrary action. So those are just the facts that I've found based on my own experience, having done this for years now, and successfully helping a lot of people transition careers and optimize their LinkedIn. So that's the first component. Now, what I want to talk about is actual real life examples of what people have done. So the first one that stands out was, I had a client last year, and he had been in the Marines for, I think, 18 years, and had just gotten out a couple of years before. He was working in a leadership role, in transportation, but it was just wearing him out, and he really wanted to be a program manager. Anyway, as we were working together, and he was uncovering some of his strengths, what what he realized was he actually liked writing a lot, but he never really written an article. It was never something that even he considered in his mind that he could actually do. And so one of our calls, he said, "Scott, you'll never guess what happened last week." I said, "Okay, what's up, Ruben?" He said, I wrote my first article on LinkedIn, and I wrote about effective leadership and how my experience in the Marines really taught me about leadership, and how I, want to apply that as a program manager, or how, I've seen how it helped me in my career before in the Marines. And I've gotten like X amount of views. Like, he got a ton of views, and he got a ton of likes and a ton of comments. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so then, what he went ahead and did was he actually created his own website and blog site so he could post more articles and really gain a following that way. And it was really a wonderful way for him to showcase who he was and how he worked and what his thought process was. And, it started attracting more opportunities to him. So that was one example. Another example was someone I was working with that did illustrations. Now, he had the most amazing illustrations, and this is like a perfect role where you could really thrive on social media, because the truth is like, that's something that speaks for itself. You don't have to necessarily put in too much work on the explanation side. If you're showcasing what it is you do best. In this case, it's like a illustration of like a cartoon character, or like something for children's books, and that is what you would showcase. That's what he did best. So he started showcasing that work, and he was getting so many different requests for work, and it was like, he was working as a consultant, so it was a little bit of a different process, not necessarily recruiters, but the result was still the same, is that he was showcasing what it is he did best in real time, and people were responding, right? Just another guy recently, it was like, this guy is really good on video. He's a natural, he's very personable and a people person, and so working with him, it was like, okay, well, what kind of media would showcase you the best? So for him, what we came up with was like really just putting together a video clip of who he is, how he's, grown over the course of his career history, what kind of organizations he works with. He doesn't even have, he was working somewhere else. He doesn't even have to go like, oh, I'm looking for a new job, by the way. It's just telling who he is and what he's about. So again, that's where you overcome that fear. There's a artful way to do it, where it's like, he's just sharing who he is, why he's passionate about what he does. He's just building a connection with the reader. And that could be, that's where it's like, that could be seen as a way for him to gain more business at his current role, or attract more opportunities, right? And some of the most savvy recruiters understand that, this process of people working somewhere else. And so they're not necessarily shouting it out. In fact, most savvy recruiters are more inclined to reach out to people that are more on the passive side of being a candidate, or they've just started looking somewhere, but they're still working somewhere else. So just some things to consider. Last one, working with a guy that does AV video. And so it's like, perfect. Video clips are really high in search engine optimization. This is something, it's like it's sometimes it's like crazy for me and them that they never thought about it, because it's like, well, you do video AV. You don't have one video file of an event you did on your profile. Why not? You have 0 videos on your profile. So it's like, it's just an avenue that people don't think about to showcase their work. And again, part of it is this fear, right, of being seen, this fear of really putting themselves out there in a different way, and for people that it's like, if that's their form of art, whether it's a video thing, whether it's an illustration, whether it's a video, we all get in this like perfectionism mode where it's like, oh no, I can't put that illustration. I have to do a different one. I have to do a new one. It's like, wait, slow your brakes. No, you don't, because I know how this process goes. I would have never gotten any books written and published. I would have never finished any videos. I would have never got to any next level of my own business, this is me speaking, if I had waited for things to be perfect. I had to do the best I could with what I had, with what, platform I was using, with whatever tools I had, whether they were the high-end ones or the not high-end ones. They weren't the high-end ones. It's like, I started doing voice recording stuff on a phone, my iPhone. It's like, so basically the reason I'm sharing this is that if you're listening to this, you need to really weigh the alternatives, right? Because if you're not getting the results you want, it's because you're not doing things differently, and you're not realizing that there's 500 million plus people on LinkedIn, and a lot of those people are really going for the same types of roles you are, especially if you're in an executive level role, if you're looking for another C-level role, director role, VP role. The stakes are high. The competition is fierce. If you're in the US looking for something in a major city, you better believe that you're going against some other really, really top quality candidates that have amazing experience and statistics and things that they've accomplished. So what's a way to stand out is to really showcase yourself in a different way. So if you're putting up video clips and that's what you do, video AV, you're really showing to the world like, okay, this is what this guy does. He's just not talking his talk, he's walking his walk. I like to use sports analogies a lot, right? If anyone's been following me for any length of time, they know I like to use sports analogies. So what could Kobe Bryant put on his LinkedIn profile? He'd put a freaking video highlight reel of him slam dunk. It's like, he could talk all he wants about what he's done for the team. It's like, show me what you do, man. So if he had a video on his LinkedIn of him doing some crazy maneuvers with like his top 10 moves in his career, like, oh my God, this guy is insane. We have to hire we have to pick this guy on our team, assuming people hadn't heard of him. But again, he's showing what he does best, right? He's not just talking about it. He's giving another form. It's like we have human beings, we have various forms of learning, right? And so he's visually showing what he does. He's showing in action what he does. The last thing, the hang up that people say is, I can't showcase this because I have some contract with my company under privacy, or non-compete or whatever. I've signed something that is I'm not allowed to showcase this. Here's the truth I found, knock on wood, every single time with people. There is always something that they could showcase. They might just be thinking of their current job. There's always something that they have that they could show that they'll be fine showing. So again, this is where it's like, you need to look at the underlying root things. People are just afraid of being seen. They're afraid of putting themselves out there in that way. And that's usually when it's broken down. That's really what's going on beneath the surface of just those symptoms, or people trying to come up with some type of, reason why they can't do it. Because what we find is every single time with a client now, it's like there's always something that they can do. And they're just kind of, already shutting it down because, whether they're aware of it or not, we all have these fears, right? And we have to uncover like, well, what is it that I'm trying to avoid? Or, am I not wanting to be seen? Am I afraid that it's not good enough? That people look at it and they'll think, that they'll laugh at me or not respond or whatever it is that you're afraid of. So, all the more reason why I recommend working through this with somebody that, could help hold you accountable along the way, that could really encourage you, that could really, work through these. Because the truth is, on our own, strength, we're usually going to default to what we've always done. And when you're doing something new and scary, it is really easy to just not do it and give up, or, maybe do something a little bit and then not get like 1 million likes and you're like, oh my God, I'm a failure. It's like, no, you're just starting, right? I've been writing articles on LinkedIn for 6 years. So if I based the quality of my writing off of like my, like the reactions I would get on I got a good reaction on my first article, but it's like I had tons of articles where I, didn't hear much at all from people, and I had to just keep writing and believing that I knew it was good, and I knew this was a gift of mine. And so anyway, that's my recommendation. The last thing is with your media stuff, please put it in your summary. It's the number one thing recruiters spend the most time looking at, your LinkedIn profile summary. Attach it at the bottom of your summary. I recommend to people put it everywhere and put your top things, put the top best things at your summary, because you could assume that that's where recruiters are going to spend the most time looking. However, I also encourage people, as it's appropriate, to put that stuff at your positions when it's applicable. Put it on projects, put it everywhere, because the truth is like, if you do have someone that's interested, they may have skipped over your video clip on your summary because they're like, oh, this guy sounds cool, I want to learn more about him. And then they get further down to like your current role, and there's not necessarily as much information there, but they see like 3 videos of like, your current AV video company, and they're like, wow, okay, I want to check out one of these videos now, where they kind of missed it at the top because there's a bunch of other stuff they're looking at. So those are just some things to consider. LinkedIn also views it good as for search engine optimization when you do put extra media on your profile, because you're optimizing your LinkedIn, and so that's another benefit of doing this. As I mentioned before, if you're the type of individual that's not just okay with mediocre results, if you know that you're in a high level position and you understand the competition is fierce, if you're a C-level or an executive or director, senior level, if you're aware that the average time to transition to a different role or industry is 6 to 12 months, and you're looking to get somewhere sooner, and you're looking to do that more effectively with someone who has specialized this and helped thousands of people now optimize their LinkedIn for job searching, send me, I'm going to put the information in the box on YouTube as well, but send me a private message or an in-mail with the heading Serious Inquiry, and I'd be happy to discuss next steps of how you could really optimize your LinkedIn to land that next role. So thanks so much, and until next time, take care.